This story begins with me alone in a remote anchorage. The lightning destroys a lot of gear, but the real problem is that it puts a hole in the bottom and blows a hole in the bellows of the shaft seal, and water is pouring in. Over the next 2 hours, by madly pumping the bilge and plugging the holes, I get it under control. In the morning, I replace the temporary plug with an epoxy one. But I need to get to a hard stand and fix the damage properly, but the closest one is 50 miles away. On engaging the engine, I hear a distinct clunk in the transmission. Not wanting to do more damage to it, sailing becomes my only real option to get out of here, but there was little wind. 10 days later, and I'm still waiting. But my luck is about to improve since Tropical Storm Etta is forming above me, soon to be a hurricane, and she shall bring wind. So I slowly sail to a better jump-off position and eagerly await the new wind. On arriving, there were some locals in trouble. Never fear, I said, Plucky is here. Well, I actually didn't say that, but I suggested we start taking apart the carby on the shore so we don't drop the parts in the deep. As this is a nothing but quality production, I'm missing the video where I took it apart, but I got the last 2 minutes where I was putting it back together. That's something, right? You're welcome, people. You're welcome. It didn't seem to do the trick, but then it did. Sounding really rough, super rough. Alright, that's the guys. I said to them, there's something wrong with the transmission. I mean, the carburetor we fixed so it could work. Now I think I've done the wrong thing because they're just grinding metal on metal. There's something majorly wrong in the transmission. And I said, look, you better paddle. I mean, if my motor was working, I would have towed them on the big boat. I can hear the grinding metal from here, and they've got, I don't know, 10, 12 miles to go. It's crazy. Anyway, I helped them out as best I could. I can still hear it, and they're like 700 meters away. Anyway, I told them not to. I said, you're gonna have to row. Oh well. I hope they're all right. Now, you're probably wondering what the crew of a successful sailing blog has for breakfast. Well, I wouldn't have a clue. You'll have to ask them. But what we eat is this. I noticed that this mouthful is going to have 2 bugs. So, extra crunch, people. So the breakfast is basically cold porridge with cold water, and I don't even boil it. I just sort of mix the water and so be it. Look, if I've got some coconut, I'll throw some coconut in there, or like I had before, you know, that dried coconut, maybe a couple of spoonfuls of that. And if I had some sultanas, I'd chuck it in. I didn't even sweeten this up because I'm trying to cut back on sugar and honey and stuff. So it's pretty boring. As you can see, there's not much porridge there. There wasn't much to start with, but that's okay. What I've found is if the food is really uninteresting and boring, your body only eats what it requires, which is really not much at all, people. There's a lesson to be learnt in that. But anyway, I was disappointed this morning. There are only 5 or 6 weevil bugs in the porridge. I mean, that's terrible. Maybe I ought to write to the company. Enough of that nonsense. Now, I'd never anchored here before, so I thought I would check it out, and look what I found, people. Another steep beach. The leak was less than 60 litres a day and the bilge pump could more than handle it, but this was a paranoid just in case. I also found that I could get WhatsApp messages when I put the phone up the mast, so that was going to be handy. Let's check on the epoxy job and see if it's all good. Yep, hard as a rock, and looks like it's sealed to the bottom paint too. Top stuff. My food supply is low, time to get some fish. We are heading to the outside of the reef to my favourite spot, the caves. This little dog snapper is too small and is stupidly not exiting quickly. Now I can't punish him for being stupid. Jeez, people, if stupidity was to be punished every time, there wouldn't be much left of me, so let's just let him be. No luck here. Let's try again. Too easy. dog snapper. Alright, well, we've got dinner, lunch, and dinner and lunch. So no more spearing for me for 2 days. Okay, update. Do I need to say anything? No wind at all. There's some issues with some big winds coming. Maybe not so much here, but further up the coast, a couple of 100 miles. So someone said hurricane force though. Oh, well, that'll get me to Linton Bay quickly. But look at that, it's just glassy, it's just amazing. Anyway, I'm still, I'm going to get in the boat and I'm going to trace out the reef so I got a clear path, because I've only got 4 boat lengths passage this way. On this side there's more, but I just want to know where all the limits of the reef are, so you know I can get out without having any anxiety, because I don't want to do any tacking in this little narrow channel. I mean, literally, I don't know if you can see it, but 30 meters, and that's the reef edge, and then it comes up, it hooks up, so it actually cuts the channel even more. So that's what I want to, that's the most important one, because it's misleading. I think the channel goes up that way, but the channel is actually going that way. Anyway, at least I know. That's something, people. Hang on. Gee, that reef came up quickly. Let's rewind it and see how hard it is to see from 6 meters away. When it's glassy, even with the sun overhead, it is still difficult to see the reef. So be warned, people, you need someone up the mast, and you gotta go slow. Now to check behind the boat where I'm likely to drift onto. So after all of this, we have a good picture in the tablet of where the reef is. Coconut husks are great for barbecuing fish because they only last 20 minutes, and with fish you only need about 10 to 15 minutes. To all those good observers out there, yes, my scaler is an off-cut piece of wood studded with odd stainless steel screws. Nothing but quality. I cut regularly to make better crispy skin and to get more salt in the flesh, and also to cook the fish more evenly. It's too hot. Let's go take a look around. This part of the island's been abandoned. No doubt all the authorities in their great wisdom have advised these people to not be on these islands, but to go back to civilization, the little shanty towns, so they can be tested every day. What a whole lot of nonsense, people. Big Pharma wants to rule the world, people, and they're almost there. I mean, look at this. 270-degree views. You can fish from your front door and no one's here. Plenty of fish around. Far out, it's unbelievable, this world. But it's a very nice spot, far out. I'd like to live here. I wouldn't move ever. Alright, let's go check on that fire, see if it's calmed down a bit. It's looking alright. These double-sided wire grills are great for barbecuing. Oh, it's a bit hot. That skin's gonna be crispy. That'll be good. Barbecued dog snapper, my favourite. Well, any dog snapper, anyway. Raw, through the barbecue. It's all good. How good is this dining table, people? One where you can dangle your feet in the water. Priceless. Oh, look at that skin, people. Oh, it's going to be good. All right, how good's that? I'm not going to eat it all now. What's it taste like? Oh, it's crispy skin. Mmm. This crispy skin is excellent, but it's a bit raw. Now, normally it should be a little bit raw around the backbone, I reckon, in the middle, because as you eat the fish, it's still cooking, and as you get to it, it's sort of cooked. Doesn't matter if it's a bit raw anyway, and it sort of sticks to the bone anyway. That's the best. Most people overcook their fish completely by many minutes, sometimes tens of minutes. So trust me. And besides, what we can do now, we can just eat all the cooked bits and get close to the raw bits, and then we can just throw it on the fire just for a little bit more. Well, there was, son. This is one strong current here. So we're on wind against current. The wind's coming this way, and the boat wants to point its stern to the wind. It's not looking good, people. Wind is from the west. I really don't want to keep on tacking backwards and forwards and being in squalls, and I could just get hammered and get thrown on a reef, and I've got no motor. I've only got the dinghy. It's just a recipe for disaster. I've just got to wait. But from Wayne's new messages, I could tell that the winds were going to go south quite quickly. I mean, they weren't going to go south-south, but they were going to be south-southwest, and I could work that out from the progression anyway. So I was expecting not tomorrow, but the next day to sail away. And look, I had to return the local Indian, the guy on the island with 6 kids or 10 kids. They have a lot of kids, people. I had to return his phone, so I thought I'd just give him all my food because, well, look, I could always get some more when I got back. So I gave him all my rice. I gave him a big bag, 10 kilo bag of rice, and all my cooking oil, all my onions. I kept 1 onion, and my tins, but I didn't have many tins, people. And so I was just expecting to go. Now I can see the flaw in that plan now. But look, it turns out to be a funny story anyway, so
doesn't really matter. I did keep one tin of fruit, yeah. And look, I wasn't going to starve. I still had a packet of porridge. I had 1 onion, tin of fruit, and I had rice vermicelli, which, to people that don't know it, is like a very thin spaghetti, because no one wanted it. So it was all going to be good. I mean, I wasn't going to starve. I could always catch fish, but it sort of turned out a bit funnier than that. Yep, that episode was termed A Long Wait, and yes, you're going to have to wait longer. Look, I had to wait a long time, so I was filming it, so I guess you guys have to wait a long time. Look, here's an excerpt from next week. We did manage to get to sail away, but it wasn't all shits and giggles.
On the plus side, nothing was damaged. We didn't get anywhere near the reef except for the front part, which I should have realised, because as the wind ventures round, it wraps around, so it's going to force me forward. But I didn't think of that. There you go. That's something to consider when you're doing in the same situation.